Hello, stamping friends. How's everyone doing this Tuesday morning? I'm doing great, and it's great to be back in town. I have been traveling, and I went to Sioux Falls, South Dakota for a wedding. Well, in the meantime, months ago, Stampin' Up asked if I would be a demonstrator who presented at a big event that we had, a virtual Zoom event. And of course, I couldn't say no, even though I knew that I had this wedding I needed to go to. So I packed up some of my supplies and everything that I needed to go and do this in the Airbnb. So I thought it might be fun to share with you what I shared at the Zoom event that we had. And this is the suite that I shared. It's called Splendid Thoughts, and it's really a nice set to work with. It was so much fun, and I also made some additional projects, and I know a lot of people that saw the Zoom have been asking about. So I took some snapshots of that as well, and towards the end of the video, you will see those. I also wanted to let you know that free shipping is going on today only. So you can save, it's actually 11% because that's what our shipping is per order. And the only thing is your order has to be over $75 US. So in case your order isn't that high, maybe just grab a friend or pull your orders together so that you can hit that point, and then you can all get free shipping on that. Stampin' Up doesn't do this real often, but it's really a treat when they do. So just go through your supplies, and maybe you're low on adhesive or white basic cardstock or envelopes or whatever, and then just put your order together so that you can take advantage of that deal going on. All right, well, let's get to my projects, and I will turn my camera around, and I can't wait to share with you. Thank you again for joining me today. This stamp set, again called Splendid Thoughts, is so pretty, and one of the reasons I like it so much is because of the choice of fonts. I love how they combined kind of the traditional typeset block font along with the delicate and more cursive font, and I think they just go well together. I also like that you don't necessarily have to color these images, the lined images, with blends or watercoloring. And if you want a fast and simple way to stamp, you can just use the coloring in the stamp itself. And look at how it's a little bit shaded, so you'll get some variation in color. I just love that because some of my stampers are really simple stampers. They like fast and easy. And so this is going to be a win-win because you can go whichever way you want with the coloring. Then I want to share with you the die set, and this is called Splendid Stems. And what you're going to get in this pack is all of these. And you know what? It's really hard to tell what these look like. I'm going to show you the cutout version. But before I do that, I want to share what I do each time I get a die set. The first thing I do is I lift this up, and we all know how strong this tape is. Oh my gosh. You could use this instead of duct tape. This is like duct tape for women. But anyway, what I do is I tip it upside down and put it on my printer, and I make a copy of it. And you can see I already put it in its case. And that way I always know what came with this set. And so I just cut it down and stick it in here on the back side. And then I do one more thing before I put my dies away. I actually take it over to my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And again, I flip it upside down. And then I actually put a piece of cardstock under here, or a computer paper, and I run it through once. But what happens when you do that is that, let me lift one of these and I'll see if you can see this. It makes an impression. I don't know if you can see this, but do you see that little outline where the die went? And that way, when I'm done with the die, I know that this goes right here. It's an outline spot. And that way, again, if I'm missing one, I know exactly which one it is because of the outline spot, and it will have a blank spot there. So that's another trick that I discovered. So that's just a couple ways that you can do to ensure that you don't lose dies. How many of you lose dies all the time? Oh my gosh, I'm missing 4 die sets right now. I know they're somewhere in my room, but I cannot find them. One of them I even had to rebuy. Now I want to share with you what the images look like when they're cut out. Look at how beautiful these are. I love the fine lines, and it's just a real delicate and just kind of a feminine look, and I just think it looks great. Now, one thing you want to add to your order if you get these is the adhesive sheets, because sometimes when you try to add mono-adhesive liquid glue on there, it kind of splurts out on the sides, and there's kind of a goo there, and so it's just easier with those adhesive sheets. All right, I think that covers the things that I wanted to show you before we start. The next thing we're going to do is cut out all the pieces, and this little graphic just kind of shows you all the pieces that we're going to end up with. And don't worry about dimensions right now because we're going to make this together, and so just hang with me and we will go through this, and I'll tell you the cuts as we make them. All right, let's get our Stampin' Trimmer out, and we're going to start with Petal Pink, and we're going to cut this to 5.5 inches this way, so the finished length will be 8.5 by 5.5 inches. Then we're just going to turn this and Score it at 4 1/4. Make sure you have your score blade. We all know what happens when you accidentally grab the wrong one. I'm positive all of us have done that at least once. The next we're going to take is basic white cardstock, and we're going to put this one at the 4 1/2 inch mark. And then we're going to turn it and cut it down a second time at 3 inches. All right, set that aside. The next one is soft seafoam cardstock. This one we are going to cut at 2 1/2 by 1 1/4. You're going to love the new die set that we have that we are going to use to cut a little banner out of this piece. All right, then the last part that we're going to cut out for card or for paper is the Splendid Day Designer Series paper. As you can tell, I have cut into this already, so I have pieces left. And just pick out 4 of the metallic that you like, and we are going to cut them to 2 1/2 inches by 1 1/2 inch. And oh, I already did that one. 2 1/2 by 1 1/2. And because all mine are different sizes here, well, wait, maybe these aren't, these might be the same, but they're thin enough that you can cut out 2 together. It's quite a bit thinner than our cardstock, so you can go ahead and do 2 together. Again, it's 2 1/2 inches by 1 1/2. Just make sure the edges are all straight and lined up before you trim. And then we have one left. And last one, 2 1/2 by 1 1/2. All right, that makes 4 of these, whoops, 4 of these pieces. I think that's close enough. All right. Now for the ribbon that we're going to use, you can cut off a hunk of about 12 inches if you like to pre-cut yours, but I like to leave mine on the roll. And so I'm going to show you how I do my knots by leaving it on the roll. But like I said, if you want to cut yours first, it's about 12 inches. That should do it. Now I want you to grab your card base and just fold that in half on the score line that we already made. Grab your bone folder because it's always nice to have a nice, clean, crisp edge. And then take your petal pink ink, and then this is the stamp that we're going to use. It's the largest leaf stamp, and we are going to make our own designer series paper. I love tone on tone, and so when I saw this card, I thought, oh, this is for me. I just like to have everything kind of matchy-matchy. So just kind of tilt your stamp so that you don't have a repetitive image, and this way it'll be mixed up a little bit. And you don't have to make them too tight, and also you don't have to worry about going near the center so much because it's going to be covered by something else. All right, just fill in the gaps as you go. No rhyme or reason. It's really not that hard. And then one more. Let's put the end here. There we go. That's good. All right, next step. Let me move this. All right, the next thing I want you to do is grab your basic white that you cut out, and we are going to distress the edges. And I think the best way to do this is just open up your scissors. Be very careful because we all know how sharp these scissors are. And I like to kind of distress away from me and just rub it along the edge. For some reason, when I tried to do it towards me, I would rip it more, and I'd wrinkle this piece in the middle where I'm trying to hold it. Let me get that side. And it's going to leave some little shavings here, but that's all right. That's the price you have to pay when you make a shabby chic card. And let's see, one more side here. You can do as little or as much as you want, and maybe you're not much into the distress look, then just leave your white alone and just leave it clean and simple, and it'll still be a pretty card. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm going to just rub and get some of that excess off. All right, now we're going to clean our little workspace here. We don't want these in the way, and we're just going to sweep them down to my lap, and then I have a messy lap, but oh well, you can't see that. All right, now we're going to take that same piece of cardstock and we're going to play with the ribbon. This is soft seafoam 3/8 inch seam binding ribbon, which means it's very sheer. And when I make my knots, I'm left-handed, so it might be backwards for you, but I'm just going to share with you how I do this. I always leave the spool on the right-hand side, and then I do like a little crisscross here. Whoops, like that. And then I like to start with the left side on top, so I just tie it around. And then when I pull it tight, I kind of go perpendicular. Let me get it at least straight. Perpendicular. Don't worry about where the knot lies right now. Then I put my middle finger and hold it so it stays tight. Now I'm going to take the bottom piece and go up and loop it through the hole there. And now this is where the trick comes in. You're going to pull, but you're going to mostly pull from the right side and leave the left alone. And just pull the right. And don't pull it so tight because we want to have that square knot on top. So that's kind of how I do it. And then when I trim it, I go, let's see here. Let me get that straight. I go left to right, like from the bottom. And then I don't move the angle of my scissors. And let's see how I can do this so you can see it. And I keep that angle the same and then just do the opposite like that. All right, now I'm sure you all know that to move the knot, you just kind of bend your cardstock and slide it around. And the placement of it is we want it maybe about 1/3 of the way up from the bottom, and you're gonna hike it pretty well to the left side like that. The next thing we're gonna do is a little bit of die cutting. So grab your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and we just need the base plate and the little filler piece, and then one of the cutting blades. And these are going to work just like when we cut it out with our Stampin' Trimmer. We can put 2 together and do 2 at a time and save 30 seconds out of your day because we're doing this. Just kidding. Don't you think this die looks like a taco? Oh my gosh, I think of that every time I pick this up. One of my downline team members, she had a meme on her Facebook page and it said, "Thank God I don't have to hunt for my food. I don't even know where tacos live." All right, let's do 2 more. How do you guys like the metallic? I really like it, especially because we have an embossing powder that goes well with this. So I've already made some cards and sent them, but it's really fun to work with. It's hard for me to use the back side of them though, because I just want to show off the metallic. There we go. All right, we're gonna bring that back one more time later, but we're gonna keep moving forward on our card, and then I'll come back to that. Now we're going to adhere this to our white cardstock. For this, we're just going to use our Stampin' Seal Plus, and I like the Plus better because, and I'm going to put it all at the same time here, I just think it comes out a little bit easier. You could use multi-purpose liquid glue as well, but I just prefer the Plus. I just have better luck with it. All right, now we're going to place these on here, and we're going to go a little bit kittywampus on some of them. So just kind of randomly put them, let's see, and have them overlap a little bit. Actually, you can do this any way you want. And we'll do this one next. And now there's going to be a little bit of a gap here before we put this last one on, and we'll fill that in later. The last one's going to go kind of the opposite way. Okay, then if you have to adjust this a little bit, that looks pretty good, but even after we get the last part on, we can still adjust this. Now it's time to adhere this piece to the front of our card, so just flip that over and grab your dimensionals. Now for me, I'm a little on the conservative side, so I put the dimensionals in the corners like this, and then if I have a little bit of a longer piece, I put them in the middle here because I don't like them to sag. I don't ever put them on the ribbon because, like I said, we might want to shift the knot left or right or up and down, so I always like to leave that free. So let's go a couple more here, and all right, let's try to center this as best as you can, and we'll put that right there. Now it's time for the sentiment part. So let's set that aside and grab our seafoam green. For this piece, it doesn't even have to be this exact size. Just, just use a piece of scrap that you might already have. We'll take Memento Black. And the sentiment that we will use is Let's Celebrate. That's a nice little sentiment for really any time. It can be wedding or birthday or whatever you want it to be. And just try to center it in the middle. That, and then we'll grab our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine again, but this time we're going to use a different die set, and this one is called Stylish Shapes. This one is probably the one I've used the most in our new catalog because it has all the shapes we need. We have our circles back, we have squares, and then they added even the banner shape. So I love this set. I have gotten so much use out of it already, and that was the first thing I ordered on my new order out of the catalog. All right, so we're gonna take this one and just put that in the center. You can see that I probably could have cut this even a little bit larger, but just use a piece of your scrap and that will work. All right, run that through one last time. Now grab your card again, and we're going to put dimensionals on the back of this one as well. Now this one, I'm going to put one on the top towards this edge and one at the bottom on the other edge. And the reason I do that is because I want the dimensional to not just sit on this ribbon, because otherwise it's going to go all over the place because it can still move, but I want this to grab the white cardstock and then it won't move around. So that's why I strategically put those dimensionals there. All right, now you just have to place that in the middle where that little gap is. And there you have it. Now, there's one little piece that's missing on this card. We need to use those cute little trinkets that we got. These are called the open leaf trinkets. And you know what? These will stay on just with one little glue dot. Believe me, I've made a few of these and they stick. So just put one on the very end. And now this we're just gonna tuck down in the lower left corner, right beneath that little banner piece like this. Isn't that cute? It pulls in more metallic. There you go. Do you like that card? It's really a fast and simple card to do, and you can make this really fast. So this will be a great one for an assembly line. Here's a few other cards that I came up with. This I used foam adhesive sheets, so it really pops up. The next one is the floating technique. And this appears to be floating above the card, and then I just used vellum for the leaf images. And then the last one, remember our taco die? I really played up the taco theme here because in my world that was a taco. So here's my taco card. This card I also used the stamp set called Best Delivery, which is available until the end of this month. I hope you enjoyed these projects that I shared with you. Now remember, the free shipping is for one day only, which is Tuesday, June 21st. So I hope you take advantage of that. Thank you again, everyone, for joining me today. And I will see you next Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock Arizona time right here on my Facebook pages. Thanks and have a great rest of your day.